Hi guys, this is Zilla and back on test server version 3.0. Now, if you've been keeping up with the news, you know that they delayed the release of the carrier rework until the 30th/31st, and they are currently running this through the test server again. One of the things they wanted to address was anti-aircraft fire, and they wanted to make it more balanced and more even overall. And the other thing they wanted to do was address some graphical glitches and mechanical glitches that they had in the course of the game. So what I did earlier this morning was I jumped on the Langley here and I jumped into a battle, a random battle, and lo and behold, what did I find? Three carriers versus three carriers. Now I'm going to show you that game simply to show you what it's like right now on the test server and where it's at. And later on I'm going to do co-op battles and I'll test the anti-aircraft that way, because you can't really test it carrier v carrier because you have these automatic fighter cover and etc. So we'll take a look at the port and see what's new and exciting in the port and see what they've added or subtracted or changed and whatnot. Okay, so I did this battle earlier and they gave me a bunch of these prizes. Okay, and even though I lost, they still gave me the prizes. So what they've got going on right now are combat missions, and I believe these are going to be coming to the live server. Can't say that for sure, but I believe these are also going to come to the live server or some version of it. You can well imagine they're going to roll this thing out with a lot of fanfare. And hey, look at this. We've got this new thing. We want you to try it. And I've been told in such a way as to believe it that it's going to be very similar to the way they rolled out the British destroyers. If you remember that 5-part mission where you had weeks of these missions to do, and then you advanced up the board into the Hall of Fame after that. So I imagine it's going to be something similar to that. I was also told that there is going to be a mission for the Battle of Malta that's going to involve a flag. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. I did see screenshots of it. It's not here now, so it makes me question as to whether it's going to be in the game or not. But this one here, all you got to do is win 2 battles, and then you win 2 more, and then you win 2 more, and you win 2 more, and you get these credits. Now, will that prize be as big on the live server? I highly doubt it, ladies and gentlemen. This is for testing purposes only. And the same thing here, million credits, million credits, million credits, million credits. And the final prize is on the live server, you will get these flags. Okay? And if you're testing on the live server, you will get these flags. So that's how those missions work. Well, what about other things? Did they change any of the commander skills? No, they did not. But I will recommend what my build would be on an aircraft carrier. On the live server, I would have air supremacy. I would forego that. You don't need it. Definitely have torpedo acceleration. Then get your improved engines. Get your aircraft armor. And then in the final slot, get your, what is that? Site stabilization. Okay? You don't need that. You don't need that. And that could be useful on some carriers. But basically, you're just going to go boom, boom, this, and then fill in whatever you want to with the other remaining points. Okay? So that's what I would do on a live server. Also, I highly suggest, whoops, back to the game. I highly suggest that if you have not done so already, and I already have tier 10 carriers on the live server. So I'm in an advantageous position. But if you can, buy all the carriers that you can. Because at 5, 7, and 9, those are disappearing. And they're going to reappear on the tech tree later on as an auxiliary carrier line. Okay? And they're going to have different abilities to these main carriers here. They're not throwing them away. They're going to put them on an auxiliary line later on after this release is done and all that stuff. So your main carriers, your strike carriers are 4, 6, 8, and 10. and then you're going to have your 5, 7, and 9 as auxiliary carriers on a different tree. And I imagine they're going to change those tiers to be even as well, but they may not. Who knows? Okay. So on the American tree, you get the Langley, Ranger, Lexington, and Midway. And on the Japanese line, you get the Hosho, Ryuho, Shokaku, and Hakuru. All right. And those are going to be the main line carriers. And then you'll have your auxiliary carriers in between. Will they have the Graf Zeppelin? It's not showing here, but they said they will. British carriers will be coming. They're not showing here as well. French, I don't even. They had the Foch, and that was it. Okay? So, right now you're dealing with American and Japanese carriers on the live server. Did they change any modules? I wouldn't invest into modules and upgrades until tier 8 maybe, because you are going to be spending a great deal of time on these carriers since you're going 2 tiers. But, just pick your poison. I would definitely go with air groups modifications. Damage control would be helpful, and things like that. Anything that improves the performance of your aircraft, definitely do that. Okay, so that's the port, and then I'll show you the game I recorded earlier. 3 carriers versus 3 carriers. It was kind of ridiculous, but you take what you can get. From now on, I'll just go into co-ops and do it that way. That way I can get some idea of what the anti-aircraft fire is going to be like. In the meantime, watch the game. You guys enjoy it and have fun. And check out the American torpedo bombers. Those things are humongous. All right? I'll talk to you later. All right. This is what I saw when I got into the first random battle on the public test server. At least it's human versus human. We have 3 carriers on our side and 3 carriers on theirs. And I imagine we were all looking at this like, really? But to be fair, there were about 40 people in the queue, and I imagine they all had aircraft carriers. So this is what the matchmakers spit out, and this is what we had to do. So what are you gonna do? Yeah. So anyway, the first thing I did was I pulled up the mini map and I said, well, I'm not going to have any challenge from destroyers or anything like that, so I might as well go cap. So I took the Langley, slowest aircraft carrier in the game, and I mapped it out so I could cap A. And then I said, well, what the hell? I'll just go up and cap the other one too, and see what happens there. But, it's really all about the planes. So we take up some rocket planes first, and I wanted to check out a couple of things. First of all, they look better. They do look better. They cleaned up some graphics on them, and I imagine this is going to continue to be a work in progress as they go along. The sight reticle is much, much more clear, and they do look better. So we're going to zip along on these rocket planes and come up on our opposing forces, the 3 enemy carriers. And I know from experience on the test server not to go head first into a carrier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to locate them, and then I'm going to skirt around. Why? You see those fighters they just launched? Those things will eat me alive if I go in there. So I'm going to stay out of that fighter range. I'm going to skirt around and wait for the fighters to go on cooldown. Then when the fighters go on cooldown, then I'll go in and attack with rockets. Okay? But I have located the enemy. Yes. There are no gunships to help out, so it's all carrier versus carrier. It's ridiculous. Oh, God. What can I tell you? So, anyway. I'm getting up on the flank of this carrier so I can come in and have a nice broadside to shoot at. And I'm waiting for the fighter to disappear. And the fighter cooldown has expired. So the fighters have returned to his carrier. And I'm going to go in. There's another carrier he's sticking close to. Those fighters might cause me some problems, but I'm just going to go in on broadside. Now this I'm exposed to all of his flak on this side. And Gave a little bit of a head fake there so the flak would go off to the side. Come out, and what I did notice is that there is a steady and continuous, if you will, a dot, a damage over time effect. That as long as you're within that anti-aircraft envelope, you will continue to take damage on your aircraft until you're outside of that envelope. So I jump on these ridiculously huge torpedo bombers. They're freaking mail planes, dude, from the 1920s. Barnstormers and shit. So anyway, I jump on these things and I'm going to see what I can do with torpedoes. Now, that carrier over to my right in front has buried himself into an island, which is not a bad idea, actually. He has put himself into a position where you have only one avenue of approach to get to him. And he's got his fighters up, but they have now disappeared. So I'm going to come in wide. I'm going to give myself a little bit of more room to maneuver. And I'm going to come in on his flank with torpedo. Now, on the torpedo bombers at Tier 4, you can launch one torpedo at a time. So there's the reticle. It's much more clear. It doesn't come down quite as narrow as I'd like, but I'm going to launch that torpedo. And it really is kind of there's no way I can miss that. Okay? Just no way. I'm going to try and move out of the anti-aircraft envelope, but you can see those dots just keep on ticking, and my aircraft continue to take damage over time as I maneuver around. And I do have to use the A and the D key, which is annoying on a scale I can't even begin to describe, but they have not addressed that. There is mouse control within limits, but they have not addressed the A and D key yet. You still have to maneuver with the A and D key, which makes this extremely frustrating at times. So I pull up dive bombers, and again, the graphics look good. They've cleaned them up even more. I imagine as time goes on, as I said, they're going to do even more with it, and I can very well picture premium skins for your aircraft and stuff like that, for your planes. So we're going to come in, we're going to dive bomb, we're going to see if we can do some damage with this. I've got a good approach here, and my reticle seems to be on target, but the bombs fall just a little bit off to the side, so I don't get a direct hit there, and I don't get a second chance because, again, there's the dot. You see the anti-aircraft fire, and I move out of the way. I'm not flying into it, and I keep maneuvering back and forth to avoid the anti-aircraft fire. But he's now going to get fighters back up. I've also used engine boost to get out of the way, but as long as I'm within that anti-aircraft envelope, I'm going to continue to take damage from his anti-aircraft guns. So they've changed that. It's no longer sector here and it's going to fire in front of you. It's always going to cause damage to you over time. So I get back in my barnstormers, and I'm going to come down and I'm going to try and land another torpedo hit on this carrier who is sailing right into it. So I'm going to drop it and we'll see if it hits. I don't know. And again, I hit my engine boost, get out of there, try and maneuver free, get out of that envelope as quickly as possible, but I fly right into the envelope of another carrier. It's kind of unavoidable because of the way they're grouped up. And so I expect to lose the planes. They are replenishing those planes a little bit slower than they did before. And on torpedo bombers, you have another second that you have to be in the dive before you can pull out of it. So they've changed that. So your planes are taking a not insignificant amount of additional damage as you go along. And of course his aircraft are attacking me, and I'm now into the ACAP, and I've got an artillery duel going on between my carrier and his, and as you can see from my ship, I'm losing that fight. But anyway, I'm going to come down one more time on this guy and see if I can get a hit out of that. we did get a hit on that last one and cause some flooding. I'm going to drop right there, and I don't know if that's going to hit or not. In fact, I don't even know if it launched. But we'll take these torpedo bombers up one more time. Shout out to Fury. I know he wanted to see these. And I don't even know what kind of a plane that is. It might be just made up. But it does look very similar to the mail planes they had in the 20s, those early days of aviation. So we're going to come down, and this is a stern shot. And if you're coming bow on or stern on to a ship and you're launching torpedoes, odds are you're not going to hit. They're slow and they're pretty easy to avoid. So I come out, I hit my engine boost, and I'm maneuvering around, trying to get back into position where I can launch my last torpedo because my ship is gone. I have sunk. There's the earlier launch. As you can see, he easily avoided that. And trying to maneuver with the A and D keys, it's just not happening, and I get shot down. And that's the end of the game. So I know it sucks, but that's where the test server is right now. Later on, I will be going into co-op. In the meantime, you guys be good to each other, and you have a great, wonderful day. I'll talk to you later. Bye.